G'day, Daniel Watson here for another cybersecurity tip out of Vertec IT Services. This one is on Dropbox security and privacy liability. Okay, so we've had a couple of things pop up in the last few weeks. One is where a client had a ransomware attack, and it wasn't in their environment, right? Some of their files got encrypted, but that's because their accountant or the people who did their auditing um, had a Dropbox link of shared files out of our client's organization sitting on their accountant's environment. The accountants got ransomware, locked up all their files, including this folder, which then synchronized back into our client's environment. Right now, this is a new client. We'd only just started engaging with him, but this was the opening salver of what we had to deal with him. Realistically, if you're sharing files out of your organization or your working environment where others are sharing into you, you've got to consider the fact that you've now multiplied your privacy liability, right? So one of the first questions that insurers will ask you is, how many client records do you hold? What is essentially, what's the maximum risk that you have? And if you've got a whole bunch of extra files sitting inside your environment that might be related to your client's business or whatever they're doing, then that ups the risk. Okay, so what happens, if there is a malware in your environment, right, and you've got all these extra files, you now have to notify your clients that some of their files may have been breached out there, and they may need to also notify the privacy commissioner, right, because that's something you now have to do here in New Zealand. Was this a breach of their information security policy or yours? Who's accountable for that? Does your cyber insurance actually cover that scenario? Ooh, that's a biggie, right? So even if you realize that, no, this is a specific part of your workflow you can't avoid, right? I mean, there are a few things you could do. Like, for one, you could allow only web-only access to those files, right? So they have to access them through the web browser, which means they have to log in each time, which will minimize that risk. Do you only share just the smallest amount of files in order for them to do their job? Or if you're giving them full whack into a whole top-level folder, and if you've just given them just the level of access, if they only need read-only access to those files, don't give them edit, because what if something happens and they all got deleted out of your environment? That could be a terrible, terrible disaster. All right, so that's something to think about with regards to privacy liability. Have a cracker. Cheers.